I'm from Central Coast Kenpo Karate. I have been posting quite often lately with our videos, and we do appreciate the feedback that we've been getting from all the viewers and subscribers. And thank you again for all the support and help watching the channel and all the feedback, because knowledge is key. And thank you again for supporting that knowledge. Uh, so let me talk about some of the Kenpo techniques. This is a question that comes quite often. Like, why our system has so many techniques, as well as why does our techniques have extended amounts of strikes in each technique that we do, right? You'll notice that we not just hit once, we hit one, two, three, four, and five, sometimes six. And the reason why we have these techniques is because it helps us develop a sequence and pattern and a backup plan to every scenario that we might come across. If the guy throws a right hook, we know the left is going to come in. We know either attempted grab is going to come in. So we have to look at in our techniques, we have three depth zones or three dimensions we travel. We have height, up and down, width, rotation, and depth, forward and back. And in some cases, one of those three are going to be an available target to strike. Okay, so if the guy's blocking and he's putting weight on my elbow here, well, I either have time to rotate, or can I try him with depth with a punch or a headbutt? Can I attempt to grab and take him down and use my height, right? And there's one thing about Kenpo is we love to do is we enjoy mixing our strikes from hitting to compounding, and that's a big subject I like to speak about, is compounding our techniques. When we punch, we can punch and retract it, right? But what I love to do in our system is I like to punch and grab, right? Punch, latch, hold on, manipulate. There's four ranges we talk about in our art. Okay, we have out of contact. So basically, I can't touch the person, they can't touch me. We're within contact, one of us are going to hit each other. And then we have contact penetration, which contact is made, right? And then we have contact manipulation, where we can apply an armbar, a choke, a sleeper hold, a disarm, a takedown, right? Being able to restrain our attacker, right? Being able to control our opponent. Now, obviously, we can't assume that everything's going to go the way we plan either. That's totally unrealistic thinking. Our thinking of these techniques is to help us develop combinations. Think of it like music. I don't know if you guys out there play music or anything, right? If you guys play music, the first thing you don't do right away is just start playing randomly. Maybe if you're excited, right? We all love to do that, play just randomly. But we know that, man, we need some technique to go with our playing, right? So we can start sounding better. So with that being said, we have to learn a note, and that's like our strikes. We have to know how to apply the strikes. We have to know how to apply proper timing. That's why we do forms. So if you see us do like forms like blocking set, or we do striking set, or you'll see us do, striking set 2, things like that, or coordination set. Those are all, in a way, building our basic timing and principles with movement, right? And then we can start to break away and start becoming more free with it. Okay, how can I take like this move and mix it with this set? And that's why our forms are important. I'll hear a lot of people like say, well, what are forms useful for? Forms they're not going to teach you practical self-defense. And yes, it's true. You would never apply an entire form on someone. It just it wouldn't make sense, right? It's like you don't play the same scale for reggae or for like rock and roll, rap, hip hop. Each scale has its own unique pattern for the type of genre. Okay, of course you can mix genres, right? So with that being said, the idea of what we're trying to teach is being able to become more spontaneous, right? You learn how to develop basics, then you're more in the embryonic stage where you're like a beginner. You're just, you're like, okay, I got one, boom, A, B, C, D, like that, right? Okay, and then you start to get a little more mechanical, where you put once the melody hits, you can put some bass in there, like you're playing piano and putting the bass in the melody, right? And then you can be able to become so spontaneous, where you can just go from one song to another, and I mean, like fade into this song, where it's just there's no like breakaway. It's just a pattern that smooths right into it, right? So that's why with Kenpo, or any martial art in a way, but especially with Kenpo, Well, in American Kenpo, we really love to provide that kind of mixture where we can move in transitionally from one technique to another and eventually not have to think too much. It's more based on a reaction, right? Now, obviously, there's going to be some speeds that we're going to have to travel through. Okay, we call it perceptual speed. Like, for example, can you see this coming, right? What am I going to do, right? It looks like I'm going to punch. Okay, well, how quickly we're able to identify that kind of an incoming attack, right? Did you see my shoulder move? Did you see my head kind of snap back? Do you see my elbow raise first? What did you notice first that came up to identify this was an attempted punch or me attempting grab, right? Okay, maybe the weight shift from my knee, right? Or let's say I was going to kick. Well, you're going to see the upper body, hands maybe come up, or the upper body lean slightly to execute that weight off the front foot to execute a front kick to you, right? So being able to practice in drills, how can I become more spontaneous with my techniques? How can I be able to identify an incoming attack? How can I check those incoming attacks with the right strike? Well, that's what makes us all humble in the very end, to be honest, because continuously being able to grow and never think we know it all to the point of there's always going to be something to get better with. That is going to be our goal, right? So with that being said, if we were going to, for example, practice perceptual speed, I would just have person do this. Boom. Okay, what am I going to do? Okay, me flinching, me faking, right? Faking becomes another part of it, right? If I do this, is it front hand, backhand? All right, what if I attempt to grab? What if I come in low for a tackle, right? Or a leg takedown, okay? And then from there, you start to go into, okay, what's, when you identify it, what is your response to it? What's going to be your response mode? Right? Okay, well, maybe it's a parry, maybe getting out of the way, maybe just coming in with a straight strike, right? Based on distance. Because keep in mind, when do you start to check your attacker? When do you start to check your opponent and start to use these Kenpo techniques to prevent an attack coming in or to control the distance of your attacker, right? Do you wait until they're about, a foot away from you before you start to strike? Do you wait until you see a punch coming at you, right? The question is like, there's going to be a time where you're going to have to initiate the first strike. There's no way we can stay in the defense mindset all the time. If we're always in thinking that we have to wait till they throw the punch to us, then sometimes, and I hate to say it, you're going to get knocked out, right? Because it's too late. By the time they're in range of hitting you, by the time there's contact within contact, someone's going to get hit. And if that hit lays into you on a vital target area, you're going to get knocked out. All right. So what you want to really think about is okay. All right. My hands are in position. Okay. Now, if my hands are in position, think of point of origin. All right. Boom. I can check. I can punch. I can grab. I can slice. Right. That idea. You can start at least somewhat at starting your defense by attacking first. Okay. So what I love about the system is being able to think logic, think practical, guys. Think what is a way for me to be able to continue my training and expand this training to where, how can I make it better? How can I make it more practical? We talked about conquering shield. You'll notice I put a video up on that as well, everybody. Conquering shield. This one coming up, down. It's like mace of aggression. Punch, down, up, claw, right? So if we all don't know that technique from yellow belt, it's called mace of aggression. So we pin, drop, right? Now I have the choice go in, out, or I have the choice come down, up, claw, okay? So we talk about what if they pull you in? What if you're pinned up against the wall, okay? Well, if you're pinned up against the wall, well, you have to figure out, okay, what are the three dimensions you can travel through? If your back is up against the wall, does width have... Is that open? Is depth open? Is height open? Right? Excuse me. And those are the things you want to think about. Like, can you be able to show that, or can you be able to, figure out right then and there what to do without having to hesitate? Okay? Like I mentioned in the video, if you step forward and try to kick while someone's yanking you down, good luck. It's not going to work, okay? You're going to get pulled to the ground, okay? So being able to have this boom, that pop and that punch, right, and that drop of the elbow, settling the weight based on your height of the attackers, okay? Based on the strength or thickness of your attacker, right? How big are they? What's their body type? All these factors will come into play. We all do have, areas that we're weak when we get strike, right? Most of the time, the groin's a good shot, nose, throat, poke to the eyes, right? Even though adrenaline rush kicks in, everyone has different thresholds of pain. Everyone has also different areas where you can focus on opening up a target to create pain, right? If I poke the guy in the eyes, he's distracted up here. The mind is thinking pain here when I can kick him in the groin and then gives me a better maybe shot to create more pain, right? Because his focus is up here, boom, and then pop him in the groin as hard as I can. It's going to shift quickly, right? Becomes a little more vulnerable. It's not as expected. Like when we expect to get hit, our adrenaline and our mind kind of are able to absorb it maybe a little bit better, but if we obviously there's just nerves in our system. Now if we get struck, it's lights out. Okay, so in this case, our Kenpo techniques, we do get criticized because of how many strikes are in our system that we apply with the sequential flow of action. But the techniques, you got to think about it, is we want to stop the attacker within 1 to 2 shots. We want to end the fight within 1 to 3 shots because our goal is to be able to walk away, get out. We're a striking system, so we don't play fair. I'm going to be honest. We bite, we scratch, we claw, we rip, we tear. We do whatever it takes to defend ourselves. So there is no, rules or there's no prettiness sometimes with our system, right? And in some cases, Kenpo can be because you see a lot of fast hands. The guy's just standing there, look like he's getting electrocuted like that, right? Well, we have to practice patterns somehow, or without literally knocking our guy out and sending him to the hospital. So you got different ways of freestyle. You got I'm going to throw a strike, control your strikes, obviously, but show me how you can hit some vital targets. The second thing is both of us are fighting, boom, boom, full on, continuous fighting. Third thing is let's go to the ground and see what we can do on the ground, right? So one of the nice things I do like about our system and how we can continue to make it practical and modernize it continuously to today's society is being able to keep up with people that are constantly exposed to martial arts. We can never assume someone does not know martial arts nowadays because most of the people are exposed to them, or at least somewhat, at least seen or heard of the martial arts. Martial arts is not foreign no more or unknown to society. We are able to see it on TV, on videos, internet, YouTube, social media, all of that. Okay, so someone knows either or even in school learned wrestling background, stuff like that, or just strong because of weightlifting, or knows how to tackle because of football, knows how to throw a punch maybe because they're in baseball and they know how to use the mechanics, right? Because you got to look at everything that's in Kenpo, regardless or martial arts, is based on motion and how we can time those motions and but it's how practical we can make the motion, right? Obviously if a straight punch comes in, we're not going to take a big circle and block it, because if we take a big circle and block that punch, you're going to eat that punch. We have a saying in Kenpo: big circles, big problems. We like to condense our circles. We like to keep them short, but we also like to round off our corners, right? And elongate those circles to where we can create damage. So if I do a punch here, I'm going to roll it. I can do a rolling strike action here. If I do a punch here, I can roll it down. I can hook it this way, right? So being able to go from a circular, to a linear, if I can go from a round punch here, I either can fold my elbow in and collapse it, or I can fold it on a vertical plane and collapse it. So I have my horizontal lines and my vertical lines. We use our plus symbols quite a lot, right? And we use our multiplication symbols, the X, how can I go from this point to this point, right? So being able to continue its motion and its path without disrupting the flow, saving time, using that economy of motion, along with being able to have backup mass in every strike we do, is creating a dynamic result, right? And some cases we won't have those results we need. We are going to sometimes get hit. That will happen. You might take a shot, guys, and that's a thing that needs to be clear. There's some people that think they know the system so good that they neglect the fact that, well, this is how it's done, this is how it always will be, and this is the right way and the only right way. Okay, well, there's some good ways, and there's going to be some ways that that way just won't work in this situation. That's what continues us to get better with thinking outside the box. Okay, how can we do this? How can we do that? But in some cases, it is sad to see people argue over techniques that are, ideal structure techniques, and understanding that not every person's technique is the only way. But we have to have some sort of core. If you're an instructor, if you're someone teaching a student, or you're a school owner, you need to have some sort of base to start from. You got to have a technique sequence to start from. Regardless if this person teaches the same technique but has a little move that's either deleted from it or added to it, or let's say an insert, a small change, that doesn't mean their version's wrong. That doesn't mean your version's wrong. As long as it makes sense and it's practical, right? It makes sense to you. You might hear someone say like, well, what if this comes in and what if this happens? It should help you, force you to create a better version, but you still got to stick to an ideal. You start to change those versions slowly when they advance, and then you start to, obviously, you can change them to where they fit you. Each technique should fit you for your personal size, reference, and be able to show how these techniques fit the person like a suit. We're not all the same size, height, widths. We're all in different sizes. So that's why there's different sizes in our, clothing. Kenpo or martial arts should be the same exact thing. Okay, so I recommend highly, if you guys have any comments to this video, leave a comment down below. I'd love to answer some questions. If you guys, anything regarding the martial arts, or like, what if this person does this? What do you think of this system? What do you think of that system? I love to talk about karate, especially American Kenpo, but I love talking about other martial arts as well, comparing and, using concepts from each system and how we can all create a very structured combat system, right? That works for scenarios of different threats levels. Threat levels such as just a punch coming, a straight, street fight, a drunk guy coming in at you, maybe a home invasion, someone actually has a weapon, a knife or a gun, that, that threat level is high. Maybe you're in the military and you know what, we're in war. It's you or me, that kind of idea, right? So, the situation of martial arts should be able to meet those high critical threat zones. And that's kind of what we're really emphasizing, is how these techniques can get there. And they can't. We start at a low threat zone and work our way high. How can we take the yellow belt technique and make it destructive to where it can create a heavily amount of damage, possibly even, sending someone, to the hospital as much, I don't like to condemn, I don't like to condone someone killing someone, but to that point where it can get to that level, right? We're in a society now, it's unpredictable, tensions are high. Things are getting a little crazy now, and we got to be able to, keep, a positive mindset, but at the same time, we got to be aware of our surroundings. We cannot be walking around gullible on our phone without looking around. We should be able to be constantly on alert, at least somewhat, where we know where our family is, especially if you're parents, you have kids, you should know where your kids are at all times. They should have some sort of training on how to handle strangers, or if someone comes in and tries talking to them, making sure they know exactly, where your guys are at the whole time. So just things like that, there's always there. And I know I'm going a little off subject, but these techniques teach us that. These techniques help us develop that mindset. When we create a focused mindset and we're aware of our surroundings and aware of our own personal self as well, we start to better ourselves, but we also start to become more aware and more calm. We don't panic, we don't fall into fear as often, and we start to develop confidence, and we have this urge eventually to help other people. You share it. It's not about arrogance, because the arrogant person will eventually fall. They'll eventually get beaten, and they'll eventually get humbled. But we want to stay in a humble position. We shouldn't always try to just prove who's better and who's not, but to keep learning and to keep expanding our martial arts. If we're, that's the one thing about martial arts, it's an art form. We continue to create better and better art. So thank you again for watching this video, guys. Please subscribe and like to the channel if you like this video. If you want me to go live more often, this is my first live video, to be honest. I've never done one before, and I was just curious how it goes, kind of messing around a little bit with the buttons here. I'm not sure if there's comments, but leave comments, guys. You know, because oh, here we go. I guess it's the live chat here, or no, chat hidden. So I love to see feedback. Leave a like on the video. Like I said, I love talking about Kenpo. If you want me to do some live Kenpo techniques on YouTube during the class, I'd love to do that. Share your thoughts and share the channel. Share this video. Let other people know how they feel about it. You know, I love to talk to anyone. So you guys take care. Continue the training, guys. And again, thank you for all the support to the channel, and we'll see you next time.